Hey there, welcome to the Leadership Snapshot Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Andreas. Each episode, we interview leaders who share their biggest leadership challenge or the best advice that they have for growing as a leader. So stick around, we have plenty of people to talk to. All right, welcome back, everyone. And today my guest is Nicki Snyder, who is a good friend of mine. She's edited several of my books and is going to edit several of them in the coming future. And I'm going to let Nicki tell you a little bit more about herself. Hey, Nicki.
Hi, Sarah. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So excited that there's an opportunity to be here. So that you're doing this, and that we can watch this as other female leaders. We can watch you doing this. It's very exciting. So about me, you may have to help me a little bit here. I'm not sure what you want me to share, but I am the marketing director for Windy City Motorcycle Company, which recently became Windy City Fox Motorsports. We have 19 dealership locations in the Chicagoland and motorcycle dealership locations in the Chicagoland and Southern Wisconsin areas. And I have been working in the motorcycle / Harley Davidson world since late 2007. So pretty much my entire adult career has been spent in some sort of a marketing facet in the motorcycle world.
Very good. You got to tell us about your family as well, because we, of course, follow you on Facebook. So we see all the momming the boys content. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I only had one boy. I don't know how I would survive with three.
So I do have 3 boys. I have a blog. It's called Momming All the Boys. So I don't even know where to start. So I have twin boys who are 7. My husband and I have twin boys who are 7. And then we have a 3-year-old boy. And it is every bit as chaotic as it sounds. My husband and I both work full time. And so when we get home in the evenings and on our weekends and when we spend time as a family, it is just pure and utter chaos. And I love every second of it. And I do take to social media and to blogging. I have a passion for writing. So I have a journalism degree and yes, have edited your books and love doing that. And I'm working on writing a few of my own books. I have not published anything yet, but this is one of the things that I want to write about is both being a mom and a career woman, but also finding the humor in momming 3 boys, because it's ridiculous. And the things that they say and the things that they do and the things that they write. And I have fun sharing it because I think that other women, there's so many other people who experience it. And so when I share the funny little snippets of what they say or what they do, and I put that out there publicly, I think it helps other people to just laugh in the midst of all of the chaos where you can easily get overwhelmed. I try hard not to get overwhelmed and just laugh and just know that it's a season of life.
I love that. And I think you make me wish that I would have done that when Marcus was little. My son, because he's going to graduate this year. And I'm like, I did it a little bit, but not nearly to the extent that you did. Mm-hmm. And I think when your boys get older and you have grandkids and you can share those stories with them, because you'll remember them because you have them written somewhere. So,
well, hopefully they can appreciate some of them. Some of the things that I share are so ridiculous that I'm sure they won't believe that they said them, but I document them on purpose. And I document them in real time. So for what it's worth, if for anybody who does follow me on social media or my blog or anything, I don't just go straight to the blog and do it. I document it elsewhere because I am using it for content for a book eventually. And then I share bits and pieces that I feel other people will find humor in and or relate to.
Awesome. Well, Nicki, this podcast is all about leadership. So here's the tough question for you. What's the biggest leadership lesson that you ever had to learn?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I think that I've had a couple. So I started in a leadership role very young. So I had a wonderful mentor who took a chance on me, and that was Mike Davis, who was a dealer principal for Adventure Harley Davidson at the time, and gave me the opportunity, gave me a chance. And I think what I learned early on, and I came into it thinking that I knew everything and that I could just come into this leadership role and be successful without putting any work into it myself. And learning that you're not always right, and that's okay. And learning to listen to the other people in the room. So I tend to talk a lot. That's just my personality. I like to make others laugh. I like to have my input heard. And so I think learning to listen, to really hear, instead of listening to think about what I'm going to say next. I often say that to people. Was the best lesson that I either learned along the way or taught myself to do, because it allowed me to see the different perspectives of everyone who's in the room or who's involved in the conversation.
I love that. That's a really good one. Very good. All right. So what advice would you give to a young professional who wants to be the CEO someday, but is just at the beginning of learning how to do leadership and just trying to figure it all out? What advice would you give them?
So that is a very easy one for me. And I think it's because I've been there. I always wanted to be the CEO. I always wanted to run my own business. The best thing you can do for yourself is continue to educate yourself. So do your job, do what you need to do, find a career that you love, continue to do it, but don't rely on that job or that position or the other people who are your coworkers or your boss to give you the tools that you need to grow as a person and as a leader. You should have those types of tools, but you need to go seek them out yourself. So find a networking group, find a mentor, listen to podcasts, read books, read articles, sign up for things. I feel like, I shouldn't say I feel like, I think, and I know so often people just expect for those things to happen naturally. And sometimes they do. And sometimes you're going to have a skill set that you're blessed with, and you're going to have a skill set maybe that is different than what others have. But if you don't continue to educate yourself on your craft and on your leadership style and leadership in general, you'll never grow into what you could potentially be. And don't expect it to happen overnight. I think that's a big one too. Don't walk into a room with the CEO and say, I want to be you, and I expect that I need you to give me the outline of how that can happen. You really need to do the work yourself behind the scenes and continue to grow.
Awesome. Nicki, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
You're so welcome. And you know how to reach me if anybody has any questions. And I love to participate in stuff like this. And I love to see what you're doing, Sarah, to increase the women leadership in the world and just increase the confidence of women leaders, because I feel very passionately about it as well.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe so that way you can hear new podcasts that come out every week. Embrace your journey, and we'll talk to you next week.